Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Welcome, winners. That's right. You are winners. And you know why you like this show. Let me just give you one of the reasons why. You like it when I remind you daily how much you are winning. I hate losing. The only thing I hate worse than losing is not winning. Welcome to the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to call the show. Consider all that is happening right now, America, to validate you. Remember when Donald Trump was the misogynist? Huh? How far do you have to go back? Oh, I know. They're still talking about him. He still grabbed women by the... Oh, wait a minute. Don't make me bring up Harvey Weinstein. Who's the misogynist now? Huh? Where's your God now, Moses? Huh? Leftist? Remember when Black Lives Matter thought they were all that in a bag of chips? Where are they now? Huh? Roger Goodell. Is this thing on? There's a story, folks, where scientists found $2 million worth of gold in Swiss sewage. Now, I don't know how you would even go to look for gold in Swiss sewage, but apparently there was a study done and they found $2 million of gold in Swiss sewage. All you got to do is go through it. I would say conservatives found an immeasurable amount of gold in Hollywood sewage. Man, we're finding an immeasurable amount of gold in D.C. sewage. Barack Obama was flushing it down the toilet. Hollywood's been flushing it down the toilet. They haven't been letting you in on where the gold is, but there's gold in them there turds. See, the gold is it's vindicating you. Your vote for Donald Trump, your steadfast dedication to the principles of conservatism are being vindicated. What do we do? You people are winning. You got me excited. I'm excited. You fellas excited? Y'all excited about the show today? You know what we got to tap? What do we have going on? You know what we got to do? We got to get a system where you guys can be heard. So that way people don't, think I'm crazy. Yeah, we have great production around here. These guys are good. Woo! We pick winners. Man, I got to tell you, you look at everything happening in the world today. You could not line this up. Let me ask you this. Donald Trump is president, and the biggest scandal of Hollywood that isn't even a scandal because we've known it's been going on. The biggest scandal of Hollywood breaks during this time. Donald Trump is president, and something that has been brewing in business all throughout, for decades, the progressivism that's been pervasive in business for decades, ruining businesses. And Donald Trump's presidency says, let's take a look at this progressivism. Let's take a look at this so-called activism, and let's call it what it is. And he calls it out. And if you think it's some sort of, freakish timing thing with Trump and the Hollywood thing, I don't think it's freakish timing at all. I believe it is ordained. I believe that God has seen enough Sodom and Gomorrah in the state of Californicate, the epicenter of liberalism and leftism, which is Hollywood, that is spitting out the most vile, putrid sewage that we've seen in a long time. Now, look, I'm not sanctimonious. I love the human form, particularly that of the ladies. I'm the guy that send me to Brazil to cover a story, Fox News, and I'll go to Ipanema. Just take off all your jewelry. But I'll go. Yeah, have you seen the Brazilian beauties in the little swimsuits they were? I've signed me up. And I know what people, come on, Kevin, that's not very Christian. What are you talking about? God gave you eyes. It would be like me looking at a steak and going, what? Would they want me to eat those Cheetos? I'm looking at a good steak cooked at some great restaurant. I'm going, look at that steak. The same way I'm going to appreciate a beautiful woman. Except, I get to eat the steak. I just get to appreciate the beautiful woman. Just like, hey, look at that beautiful woman. So, this concept of we're all prude. I'm not being a prude at all. I get it. And there are things that I will look at that I don't want my kids to look at. And I understand that when I was a kid, I tried to sneak and look at things. I told you guys my Playboy story. I used to love to go to Tommy's house because Tommy had Playboys laying around and I could partake, acting like I was cleaning. I was cleaning, but I was accidentally, pushing open the magazine. I think my grandmother was on to me. Anyway, gold flushed down the sewer. Estimated 95 pounds of gold is flushed through the Swiss sewage system each year, according to a study by Aquatic Science Institute, EWAG. Lost gold is worth about $2 million at current prices. Researchers believe the tiny gold flecks flow into the wastewater system from the country's famed watchmaking industry and gold refineries. The study was commissioned by the Swiss Federal Office for the Environment, involved studies of 64 wastewater treatment plants across the country. So these guys are making watches. I'll tell you this, when I was at Texas Instruments, a guy stole $135,000 worth of gold from the semiconductor processing plant. What they do when they do semiconductor processing, they gold plate the etch. In some cases, they'll gold plate the semiconductors or the etch. And when they gold plated them, there was gold that would it looked black because it didn't oxidize, but it combined with a chemical and it looked black, and it would be caught into the bins that were below these vats. And this one guy knew this, and so he poured the water off of it, and it looked black. It looked like pepper. Okay, that's the best way to describe it. It looked like pepper, and he would cart it out little by little every day. And then he went home and he cooked it and put a chemical to it that would take the chemical that it combined with the gold and get rid of that. He'd scrape it off the top and he was left with gold. And it was estimated that he took $135,000 worth of gold. How much are we going to take off of the top of the Hollywood stuff?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. 844-551-8255. I love the spin on Weinstein and how all the Holly weirdo chicks have suddenly broken their silence on Harvey Weinstein. While leftist women marched on Washington for women's rights against Donald Trump, they've apparently been Mirandized on Weinstein. You have the right to remain silent, Holly Weird. And they took us up on it. They did it. They remained silent. Yeah. Amazingly so. I've seen multiple things from these leftists where they'll have the tape over the mouth and they say, Donald Trump tries to silence us. Or the black football players, Donald Trump is silencing us, man. And on, leftists will talk about being silenced, the First Amendment rights being revoked by us. Who's revoking their rights? Who's been silenced over the past couple of decades? You be the judge. No, I don't want to influence you. Who's been silenced? What can you not talk about? Say something about Obama. Watch what happens. Say you like Trump. Watch what happens. Say you're a conservative in Hollywood, in academia. Say you own a business, whatever. You're a money-grubbing capitalist, and on and on and on. And you know what? Hollywood is all of that on steroids. People making crazy money. Well, who's it? Rosie O'Donnell, $7 million a year. Keith Olbermann, $7 million a year. For what? How much does Jimmy Fallon make? How much do these late night talk show hosts make? Do you find them interesting? Are they compelling? Do you really want to sit and listen to their drivel? And holy mother of Lily Ledbetter, I thought leftism empowered women. And where is leftism born and raised? Would that be Californicate? Yeah, it is. The epicenter of leftist evil. The state of California. How many of you thought California, and particularly Hollywood, was so progressive? How many powerful women are there in Hollywood? There are movie studio heads, moguls, movers, and shakers sent there to both break through the glass ceiling and to showcase how great leftism is for women. And where are they? What are they doing? What have they done for women? Two of the most powerful women in the world are, you need help? Former first ladies. You still need help? All right, I'll help you. Michelle Obama certainly qualifies as one, right? She's a rock star. She's a big name. Former First Lady of the United States who beamed over Harvey Weinstein on multiple occasions. Not once, folks. Multiple times. Hobnobbing. She and Barack flying out to fundraisers. He's a big bundler. But better than that, depending on how you look at it, it's not about his bundling. It's about the fact that they're being introduced to stars. And they're starstruck. These two went out there like bumpkins, hating white people. And then they got the hobnob. When they said they knew Harvey, doors opened up. Forget president. Nobody cares about the president. In Hollywood, they cared about him, because he was a rock star president. But still, you got egos. George Clooney. Do you think George Clooney really looks at the president of the United States and thinks, wow, he's an amazing guy? George Clooney can't go anywhere without people fawning all over him. Look at Barack Obama. Barack Obama has to go places and he needs Secret Service. He needs big time security. George Clooney, I can't stand him, but I wouldn't care. If he went through the airport, though, you can bet, man, he would be mobbed. Let him go to the airport and let Barack Obama go to the airport. I bet you the Clooney numbers are bigger than Barack Obama. So you got these guys that are out there, and I'm talking about Michelle Obama, these women, these powerful women, and she's hanging out with Harvey Weinstein, and she wants you to believe that she has no knowledge of his sexual deviancy, with a whisper campaign that sounded like a bullhorn. Then there was the other former First Lady and twice failed presidential candidate. Arguably, the most powerful woman in the world at one point, Hillary Clinton hobnobbed with Harvey Weinstein again on multiple occasions. She too protected her ears and ignored the whispers on Weinstein. But now Clinton wants to tell you what she really thinks about him. So she says, I was shocked and appalled by the revelations about Harvey Weinstein. The behavior described by women coming forward cannot be tolerated. Their courage and the support of others is critical in helping to stop this kind of behavior. Now, this is funny on so many levels. It is. Because, first of all, Hillary Clinton's husband is a pretty bad example, or a pretty good example, of Harvey Weinstein. She's one to tweet this. Her daughter tweeted it, and Twitter blew up on her. Like, Chelsea, you do know who your father is, right? Well, people aren't really sure. Some people say it's Webb Hubble. And she does look a bit like Webb Hubble. But she does look like Bill Clinton. I don't know, in a strange kind of way. But now, what's interesting is everybody in Hollywood pretends to be shocked. A sexual predator lived in their midst for decades with the freakiest of sexual desires, and nobody knew. It would be different if Harvey was just like, running around and grabbing women by the breast, and I wouldn't even say that, because that's still going to, like, Harvey the breast guy, Harvey the handler or something. But Harvey had some strange things that he liked to have done. And nobody gave him a name. Nobody brought anything up, like gave him a nickname. Literally, hundreds of women, folks, owe their careers to Harvey Weinstein. And many of these women, more than knowing how this man operates, but were victims of him. And I put the victims in quotes because I question if they're really victims. In almost every instance, the reason the person sexually harassed or was assaulted by Harvey Weinstein didn't want to, tell on him, they would lose his or her career. So they make this Faustian deal with the devil, morality versus money. And others like Hillary Clinton, who he didn't molest or rape, didn't want to lose access to power. They refused to acknowledge what they knew about Weinstein, because in order for women to get ahead, there's got to be a few casualties, right? You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And you can bet when this guy dies, they're going to eulogize him the way they did Robert Byrd. He was my friend and mentor, Hillary Clinton said of Robert Byrd. And Bill Clinton talked about Byrd's tangential relationship to the Klan. They'll probably be talking about his tangential relationship molesting women.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Hey everybody, Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So the fallout from this Harvey Weinstein thing is continuing to grow. And every time I think that we're ready to let it go, more comes out. The New Yorker article, etc. We'll be talking about that a bit. But I also want to cover this Terry Crews sexual assault encounter. And if you don't know who Terry Crews is, he's a big black dude. You've seen him in movies. And I think he flexes his chest, like The Rock. He does that, that peck bounce. And you'll know him, I promise you. Crews, not like Crusoe or cruise like cruising down the road, but cruise like a rowing crew. Terry Crews. Low budget films, occasionally TV shows. He's made a couple of films that, where he, like, for example, he was in this film with Kevin Costner where his son gets picked up by a football team. Things like that. But it's usually bit roles. But he was in a movie with Adam Sandler where he plays the the island dude or whatever. Clever guy, funny guy. I like him. But he generally plays a bad butt. So to hear of an allegation of sexual assault, it challenges your perception of him. And I wanted to know what it was about. And so I went to the article and I read his Twitter feed. And let me just show you what it said. He says, this whole thing with Harvey Weinstein is giving me PTSD. Why? Because this kind of thing happened to me. My wife and I were in a Hollywood function last year, and a high-level Hollywood executive came up to me and groped my privates. Jumping back, I said, "What are you doing?" My wife saw everything, and we looked at him like he was crazy. He just grinned like a jerk. He says, "I was going to kick his butt." He used a different word right then, but I thought twice about the whole thing, how the whole thing would appear. 240-pound black man stomps out Hollywood honcho would be the headline the next day. And he says, only I probably wouldn't have been able to read it because I would have been in jail. So we left. That night and the next day, I talked to everyone I knew that worked with him about what happened. He called me the next day with an apology, but never really explained why he did what he did. I decided not to take it further because I didn't want to be ostracized, par for the course when the predator has the power and the influence. I let it go. And I understand why many women who this happens to let it go. Who's going to believe you? What are the repercussions? Many. Well, he says, who's going to believe you? Few. What are the repercussions? Many. Do you want to work again? Yes. Are you prepared to be ostracized? No. I love what I do, but it's a shame and the height of disappointment when someone tries to take advantage of that. He knows who he is, but sometimes you have to wait and compare notes with others who've been victimized in order to gain a position of strength. I understand and empathize with those who have remained silent, but Harvey Weinstein is not the only predator. Hollywood is not the only business where this happens, and to the casualties of this behavior, you are not alone. Hopefully me coming forward with my story will deter a predator and encourage someone who feels helpless. Sexual harassment in the workplace is more prevalent than many realize, and it takes a lot of strength to report it. So that's what this big black dude said. Now I want you to understand the dynamic here, folks. Some Hollywood honcho had the chutzpah to go up to a substantial black man and grab his private parts. Does anybody on God's green earth believe this honcho would have done this had he not been a Hollywood honcho? And you know the obvious answer. So what power must you feel to possess you to do something like that could get you hurt in the real world? He would have to believe, this person, that he has the same power as Weinstein. Interestingly, Cruz didn't hit the guy. Again, consider how Cruz would have responded in the real world. He would have pummeled this dude. Actually, he wouldn't have had to, because a scenario like that would have never happened unless Cruz was at a gay bar. But just in real life at a party, hanging out, whatever, never would have happened. So Cruz just gets pissed off. His wife witnesses her husband chumping out, and I'm cleaning that up because I'm telling you, he's really done worse than that. And then they decide to leave. And as the rest of the Twitter thread that I read suggests, there's some big points in all of this story, and I want to cover these. First, rightfully, the honcho called Cruz to apologize. Was that predicated on him talking to his employees and stuff and saying, what's up with that? I don't know. But the guy called and he apologized. He didn't say why he apologized, figuring just saying, look, man, I apologize is enough, which isn't an apology, by the way, if you ask me. But apparently for Cruz, the apology sufficed. But then I say, did it really? Cruz went on to explain that he didn't want to be ostracized. The allure of Hollywood made him check his morals at the city limits as Hollywood beckoned. How many other men had this happened to? For Cruz, don't know, don't care. He's getting his paycheck, no harm, no foul. I know many who would have done the same thing. I'm not mad at him for this. I'm not even getting after him for this. I get it. But now the biggest point. Well, before I get to that, let me just say this. Cruz now sympathizes with others who've gone through this, particularly women. But really, does he? Because he didn't act. And in many of these things, people say silence is capitulation. Silence is agreement. So I can't really say that, he was all about helping people. But I do want to get to this biggest point that Cruz made. He said he talked to many people about what happened. People in this guy's company, people who know who this person is and what happened. Nevertheless, this sexual predator remains a mystery. Even now, Cruz seems to be searching for others to come out before he does. How courageous, right? I mean, this is just prototypical Hollywood, folks, that it drives me crazy. The irony is that Hollywood is known for blackballing people, right? We know this. When they talk about Harvey Weinstein, they talk about people were afraid to do anything to Harvey or say anything about Harvey because they didn't want to be blackballed. They didn't want to lose their careers and their jobs, etc. Hollywood blackballs. We know this for whatever reason. I don't like you hanging out with this person. You didn't do this for me or that. You took this film. There are so many reasons they blackball you. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of the government cracking down on Hollywood for blackballing? How many conservatives have been blackballed in Hollywood because of their political ideology? How many? How many people are afraid to come out? There is a culture of fear in Hollywood that in any other industry, you could not get away with it. Try that in manufacturing and see what happens. In the real world, folks, people make out like bandits when it's found out that companies collude against them or anything. Think of what happened in Silicon Valley when they took all these IT specialists and they said, don't hire. If you work at Google, Yahoo, don't you hire them. Facebook, don't you hire them. And so they put a freeze on these guys so they couldn't move around. They effectively made them indentured servants. At a decent amount of pay, but indentured servants nonetheless. They didn't have freedom of movement. And the very least, the Justice Department at least looked into it. Hollywood can tell somebody, this woman's never going to work. She didn't put out. That guy wouldn't let me, bugger him. He's not going to get any work. I don't like his political ideology. Think of how many right thinkers, people on the right, that Harvey Weinstein killed their careers. This guy's a dyed-in-the-wool leftist. And the minute that you're found out that you're not a leftist, guess what old Harvey does? He corners you in the room. That's what he does. This is big, folks. This is pointing the finger at so many things. Everything that they tell you, Lily Ledbetter, all the stuff that they talk about in corporate America. Look at what's happening to women. All these capitalists and what they're doing to women. Look at what Harvey Weinstein and all of these lecherous suckers in Hollywood are doing to all people of all different flavors. They don't care about the kids. They're passing these kids around like candy. You want to know why the teenage suicide rate goes up? It's because of people like Harvey Weinstein who are predators on these kids. You want to know why women get demoralized and don't want to, they become, they don't want to be touched? Read that article in the New Yorker. You'll see what I'm talking about. Women that said, after Harvey Weinstein did what he did to me, I didn't want any man to ever touch me like that again. Things like this. And you have a black dude, a big black 240-pound muscle-bound dude telling you this happened to me in Hollywood and I was powerless to do anything about it. Do you think all the time Barack Obama spent out there, he fixed it? You think Bill Clinton did? These politicians are hobnobbing with these fools. They are participating in this. They are complicit, as is every single Hollywood leftist that knows this stuff goes on. Folks, we're not talking about a secret here. I'm getting a little preachy, huh? But it's the truth. There's no secret here. They all know it. The cover-up is immense, and you'll hear more about it. It'll blow your mind. Trust me on that.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So there's a guy, he's a professional mourner. I saw his Instagram thing, and he shows pictures of him regular, and then he shows pictures of him crying. And he's got a series of prices that really are funny. So, like, he's got, okay, let me look here. And he does it for funerals. He says, do you want to boost your funeral? Hire me, the professional mourner, to come and cry at the funeral. Below are the summer specials. All right. Normal crying, $50. Bohemian hollering, $100. Crying and rolling around on the ground, $150. Crying and threatening to jump into the grave, $200. Crying, oh, I love this one. Crying and actually jumping into the grave, $1,000. And what's so funny is he actually has pictures of him crying. And so he's got his regular picture, and then he's got his $50 special crying, the normal crying. And info, he says, inbox me for booking. So you can get a hold of him on Instagram and he will come cry. And I was thinking, boy, could the left use this guy right now? This dude would be a hit in Hollywood. He would just be the party crier. He would just show up from bourgeois cocktail party to bourgeois cocktail party. And he's a brother, which is even better. Big old goofy looking dude, but he would be like, oh man, it was so sad to hear about Harvey. Come here, tell me about Harvey. I could see this dude working the circuit. This is hysterical. Oh my gosh. You know who else is crying? These late night comics. But before I get to that, I want to play a clip that we did not play when we talked earlier about Hillary Clinton and these leftists that are now breaking their silence because Hillary Clinton's broken her silence. And I want to play that clip so you guys have an understanding of exactly how big this is, that she's broken her silence. Hillary Clinton has. So here's the clip.
We have just in the last couple of minutes received a statement from former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who has over the years been close to Mr. Weinstein. In that statement, she says, quote, I was shocked and appalled by the revelations about Harvey Weinstein. The behavior described by women coming forward cannot be tolerated. Their courage and the support of others is critical in helping to stop this kind of behavior. Harvey Weinstein, Harris, rapidly running out of friends.
Friends in Hollywood, huh? The most interesting part of that is, as I've said earlier, Hillary Clinton actually having the nerve to say, you know, these women, as they step forward, the courage that they show. But that's not what she said when it happened to her husband. But that's not even where I wanted to go. I wanted to go with why these late night comics still aren't touching Harvey Weinstein. Now, that's kind of a double entendre. Why they're still not touching Harvey. I'm not touching that. Harvey, man. Did we get that clip of Harvey with this girl? I don't know if you guys have heard this clip. Harvey's with I think she's an Italian girl, and there's a sting operation. And she's wearing a wire. Because Harvey the night before had just willy-nilly touched her breast. Just bloop, 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 didn't care. And you can hear on the tape, she's like, you just touched my breast last night. I'm not that way. I don't like the way you just do that. I'm not that way with men. And he's like, yeah, but I do. I can do that. And she's like, what do you mean you can do that? And it was funny to me because he was so nonchalant about, yeah, I can get away with that. And it validated what Donald Trump said women will let you do. But what Harvey did was he just did this, and this woman rejected him, and he couldn't handle that. And then if you heard the audio, and you probably have, there's no sense in us playing it now. No offense to you guys. Don't try to get it. It's too late. It's too late. You didn't do your job. That's okay. Anyway, I'm just messing with you. When you hear this, you hear how creepy Harvey is. He's trying to talk this woman into his room. They're in the hallway of a hotel, and he's like, just come in for a minute. Just come in for 5 minutes, a minute. And she's like, no, I don't. He goes, look, I swear, I'm not going to do anything more. I'm not going to do, and it is so creepy because everything that they talked about with him in terms of the allegations made that he wanted you to watch him shower or to watch him pleasure himself or whatever, it was all validated. And as I said, when I read the New Yorker article, I was like, wow, this dude is really strange. And look, I'll be honest, I'm kind of a prude sexually in some regards because I'm looking at I don't care that somebody watches me shower. I just don't. I mean, and I'm pretty well built, and I don't care if you watch. I mean, I would prefer you not, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Especially you two. I don't want y'all watching at all, okay? And look, I remember the first time I showered in a locker room with all guys. I was like, really? Where's my stall? I don't want to be showering in here with a bunch of dudes. And this is when I was first set to shower with guys when I played football or played sports. I didn't even have a concept of gay. You know what I mean? I'm sure guys were checking me out like, man, Kev's got a nice body. Look at that booty, whatever. And I didn't even have a clue. For all intents and purposes, I was showering with a bunch of girls who were checking me out. I don't know. Because you can declare anything you want to be these days. Just wild. So, I don't know. That audio clip is just weird to me. We didn't play that yesterday, did we? You guys, did you have it? You have the clip? No, I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it. People have heard it. But here's what's interesting. So Harvey Weinstein in 2004 was potentially going to be brought up on charges for this stuff. And Cyrus Vance was the prosecutor for New York where this was occurring. And he dropped the case for someone. I don't know all the details around it, but he dropped the case. And Weinstein made a $10,000 donation to his campaign. Now, you can go research that for yourself, but that's what I've heard happened. And it was, swept under the rug. Campaign donation, everybody's good. This is how leftism works. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. And the back scratching we're going to hear about is going to be interesting. But I want to come back to why are the late night comics still not talking about Harvey Weinstein? This is so ripe for comedy. I want to ask you this question. You know where I'm going? You think you know? What? You got it. You're right. So one of my producers, he nailed it. Because, they know how I think. Would the late night comics be busting Donald Trump if he were to be Weinstein? What do you think they'd be saying? Now, look, folks, I'm not naive. You turn some of these things around. It's a Trump thing versus an Obama thing. And you get a little different reaction. We all have that reaction because we believe the motivation. But in this particular case, this is not a Trump Weinstein. It's not a Republican Democrat thing. It's a Trump Weinstein thing. So I'll put it another way. What if you found out that Barack Obama were doing this? What do you think the left would be saying? See, completely different outcome with all three scenarios. There'd be people, believe it or not, trying to rationalize the reason why Barack Obama did what he did. Guarantee you there'd be a huge contingency on the left saying, look, it's been misconstrued. This didn't happen this way. And Barack Obama would be, look, you got to understand, the way things are, the way things work out here. And when you get to D.C., people, you got your challenges. And he would be explaining around it. Black folks would be rallying around this fool. You know it. With Weinstein, they're pretty much throwing him to the wolves, except for a few people. Late night comics can't find anything funny. Do you think these fools would find anything funny if it were Donald Trump? Looks like Donald Trump does more than grab a woman by the... it would be Donald Trump. More allegations around sexual harassment. It would be a non-stop media fest. Now, in defense of the media finally getting it, they're starting to cover it. Just starting to. But we all know how big this cycle would be if this were Trump. We know. So, that's what I always come back to this. If you, and this, by the way, dictates the core of Hollywood. This is the very same core of Hollywood that allowed this man to get away with this. Is the core of Hollywood that would dare crush Donald Trump, but has let Weinstein skip for generations. And they're still letting him get away with it to some degree. They're not piling on him the way they would if he were a member of our team.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. I'm going to dive right in. And the reason I want to dive right in is because this is such a big story that's breaking, this Harvey Weinstein thing. But I don't care about the Hollywood part. I care about the political part. See, Holly weirdos, they hate to have their worlds turned upside down. I want you to imagine being in Hollywood and you've lived there, you've survived there for decades, and you've seen, you've gotten away with murder. People treat you like in ways you can't imagine. The big wigs are just, the phone is ringing all the time. Scripts are coming in. People want to be at your party. They're telling you what's happening. People are in the know. You're in the know. It's just a moving and shaking town, and you got to do nothing. All you have to do is build that reputation. You have to be bigger than life. And the more bigger than life you become, the bigger you are. It's funny, I was talking to one of my drivers that picks me up for Fox, and he says, what was that guy worth, Kevin? And I said, he's worth $170 million. And he went, that's all? And I went, yeah, isn't that strange? And I go, first of all, $170 million is a lot of money. But we think that he's a multi-billionaire because of the size of, the size, the enormity of this scandal. But that's what he was building towards. Guy's worth $170 million. I don't know what his brother's worth. Throw the company all together. Maybe they were total value of $500 million, which is not nothing to sneeze at, but it's not huge money. Spielberg and what's his name? The guy that makes Star Wars. Those guys are worth, maybe close to $1 billion. I don't know. They're worth more than Harvey Weinstein. But he's a mover and a shaker. So you build your reputation on how big the perception is of you. And Weinstein was God. I mean, that's what, what's her name? Meryl Streep called him. God. So here's God dictating how things go in Hollywood, man. And their world is upside down now because they believed in that God. It's the same thing that happened with black folks. See, Barack Obama was God. And by the way, Harvey Weinstein and the wife of God, that would be, or the Lord and Savior, that's what Jamie Foxx called Barack Obama, praised God. That would be Harvey Weinstein. So we've got two leftist gods who don't suddenly look like gods anymore. Donald Trump has destroyed the idea of Obama being God, Obama being a savior of the leftist. Do we really need to recap what havoc this guy wreaked on the Democrats? 1,080 or 30 seats lost. Lost every special election. Lost the presidency. Couldn't drag Hillary Clinton over the finish line. Hefty, bit of lifting there, but, he still should have been able to do it. He's God. Harvey Weinstein, God. We're not calling him that. That's what they called him, and that's the way they treated him. And another God has fallen. What do? They don't know how to react. They're scared beyond belief, folks. I'm telling you, I really wish you could understand how fearful people are in Hollywood. And here's the thing. They're fearful from the bottom because they finally now have, they can talk about it. They can say, well, this guy was a lecherous dude, man. It was horrible to be around Harvey. And they can pile on him, but they can't pile on too hard because there's still snakes in the pond. Still people there that can hurt them. Now, let's look at the snakes. The snakes are worried. Okay, they took Harvey Weinstein's name, off of his latest TV show. You can bet they are whitewashing everything he's done. Who else is looking at his body of work and going, oh, shoot. Now, remember what we've been talking about as conservatives. We've been talking about building a conservative network of, like the equivalent of Hollywood. We've been saying we need to have our own entertainment industry, etc. What do you think? If you were going to do this, what would be the best time to do it? Wouldn't you like to take a lot of those Hollywood actors and actresses who have lots of talent and they have now seen the lie? They've seen the lie of Hollywood. And they're going, I'd love to have a place to go where I can just display my art. Where I don't have to sleep with you or watch you, pleasure yourself or watch you shower or have you molest me in some way or deal with your innuendo and your sexual nuance when we have a conversation. Can I just come in and do my job? Remember who argues for this, who argues for, sexual harassment, training and seminars and all this stuff. Do you think they've done this in Hollywood? If they did, do you think it stuck? How many people were involved in the scandal of Harvey Weinstein? Think about it. I don't know how big his company is, but it's pretty big. They said his administrative assistants or producers would set up these girls. They would call them and say, hey, I'd like you to come have a meeting with me, blah, blah, blah. And the girls would go. And then the producer, the female, would meet with them and go, hey, listen, I got to run, but Harvey's here with you. We'll talk to you in a little bit when he's done with you. And they just leave. That was the modus operandi. Just as complicit in everything that's happening as Harvey himself. So I want you to understand, folks, a lot of people were keeping this under wraps. And they've been dealing with this knowing that you're right. Knowing that the sanctimonious conservatives are right about them. They go home and hear about Donald Trump and they'd hear us saying, look, we support this man because there's a lot more going on the left and they don't want to tell you. And they're snakes and they're scoundrels and they're, whatever. And they're going, look at them over there talking about us all sanctimonious. And then they got to go to sleep at night knowing they've helped Harvey. They helped Bill Clinton and whoever else. The people that haven't come out of the shadows just yet. And that's why they're scared. They're scared because they know you know. And they know you now have ammunition to say, shut up. You've known this has been going on. And what about this affecting all your other politics? I want to get into that in just a second with Mr. George Clooney. He said something pretty interesting.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. 844-551-8255 if you want to call the show. And if you just want to check us out on demand, kjradio.com. I want to talk about George Clooney. Heartthrob. Hollywood hunk. We got to hear all about his marriage. We got to hear all about his politics. His wife, I forget her name, but she's dealing with human rights issues around these savages over in countries in Africa, raping women and holding them as sex slaves and things like this, and mostly around Islamic stuff, Islamic terrorist. But don't think that makes George Clooney a Donald Trump fan, because Donald Trump is trying to take care of these terrorists, eradicate the world of them. No, George Clooney still protests against Donald Trump, because he's a misogynist. Because Donald Trump doesn't stand for the things that George Clooney stands for. George Clooney, he's on top of it. Hey, free Darfur. Don't stop the genocide. Stop all this. Dude, stop that. I've flown over there. Yeah, I've flown across it when I was on my way to, do a movie in Europe. Free Darfur. Help the black people, on the dark continent. Or global climate change or some other such nonsense. Because he's aware. See, George has his finger on the pulse of things. When George is close to an issue, let's put it this way. If George gets close to something, he's all over it, man. He knows it cold. There is nothing that you could say to George Clooney that's going to make him, he knows it. And he's been fighting against Donald Trump. He's been fighting against conservatism. He fights against the scourge of conservatism. All you Bible-thumping, sanctimonious people, you America-loving, military-loving, capitalist-backing, whatever, gun-toting, Bible-thumpers, you are the scourge of the earth. And he knows it. He's into it. He researches it, just like he does movie parts. That's why he's who he is, and that's who you are. Let's just face it. He's better than we are, right? And that's why he's winning. So what's so funny about all this to me? George Clooney misses a lot. And I don't think he realizes it, so he needs me to kind of help him understand what he's missing. See, George Clooney says that He's known Harvey Weinstein for 20 years. And he said, the title of the thing I read that said, I've known Harvey Weinstein for 20 years, and I didn't know him to be like this, or something like that. And it got me to thinking, 20 years. So I've got friends of 20 years. I told you guys about one of them who was a drug addict. I went over to his house and I told him, I said, dude, you got to break this. And he lived in a dangerous area because he had fallen from grace, man. I mean, this guy was doing pretty well to where he was living over in one of the most dangerous areas of Dallas, Texas. And I drove up there in my brand new Supra. It was a beautiful car. An old black dude that lived underneath him called me crazy. Crazy cab. Because he was like, I don't know how you drive this car into this neighborhood to go visit your friend. And you think, cops don't go get you in this neighborhood. It's an area of Dallas called Bonton. If you're from that area, you know what I'm talking about. Over in South Dallas. Cops will tell you, we go get the bodies. We don't go respond. We go get the bodies. But I went to my buddy's house because he was so strung out and I wanted to have a heart-to-heart. It wasn't going to be a phone call. It was going to be a heart-to-heart. And I told him I'm coming by. I brought him some food and I went there probably once a week for at least, 3 months. See, I know my friends. Now, I'm not telling you I know everything about them, but I know a lot about them. And I certainly know their character. And I'll tell you this, there are no whisper campaigns on my friends. Yo, Kev, you know your buddy Curb over there? Yeah, I mean, geez, I tell you, man, you just can't leave any girl around that guy. What are you talking about? Well, man, I've had 2 or 3 girls at the coffee shop say Kirby's been hitting on them. What would I do? Ignore it? I'd go ask the girls. I'd say, is Kirby hitting on you? Well, I didn't want to say anything. I'd call. Kirby owns coffee shops. He's a buddy of mine. I would go to Kirby. I'd say, Kirby, come out here. Let me talk to you real quick, man. First of all, what are you doing hitting on these girls? You're married to Kelly. What's up? What's going on? I wouldn't. Oh, I'm going to pretend I don't see it. Okay. Well, hey, girls, just try not to get locked in, put into a bad situation and, or you're just lying. You're lying. And what if it was a real job that they wanted, not a barista, but something they really wanted to do, and Kirby was doing that? Do you think I'd let him do that? What about you? You conservatives, listen to me. Would you do it? Of course not. George Clooney wants you to believe that either he walks through Hollywood as oblivious as he is to politics, to what Harvey Weinstein is doing, or he's just pretending not to know. 20 years, let me tell you. The only thing I can tell you about this, if he suddenly discovered that his friend of 20 years is a misogynist at best and a rapist at worst, is what does he call a friend? Is he not close enough to this friend to help him? Don't friends know at least some idea of a problem? And certainly, if that problem is based on a whisper campaign, would you step in to help? And then, what is a Hollywood friend? Think about that. See, we kick that word around so easily. Yeah, he's my friend. I tell you how I judge my friends. I've told you this many times, folks. Will you come bail me out of jail, make me a fat loan, or give me the cash I need to do something? Or would you come fight for me and give your life? Because that's what I do for my friends. I will bail you out of a situation and give you all the money I can possibly give you. I'll loan you the money I can loan you. I will bail you out of jail no matter what time of night you call. And if you call me and you're in a legitimate fight, I'm there for you. You think Hollywood has friends by that standard? How many friends in Hollywood do you think George Clooney has by that standard? Or anything close to that standard? See, what these guys do, they make ungodly amounts of money so they can pretend to have their fingers on the pulse of society. George Clooney puts his value on the money he makes and the scripts that are sent to him. The fact that he has to do no work. People are going, get George Clooney, get George Clooney. So he believes he's something special. He knows his knowledge transcends the role playing that he's involved in. It transcends that, and it goes into everything. And you know what George Clooney's thinking right now? Holy crap. If he really believes that he knew nothing about this guy, George, what else do you know nothing about? Climate change? The plight of Africans? Maybe all of your political stances? Maybe you're wrong about a lot, because Harvey Weinstein was one of you. He promoted all the stuff you support. And you know what he was? A lying, lecherous scoundrel.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
There's been a lot of buzz about this fake news. You were the subject of a fake news story.
Oh, yeah, what'd they say? I was running for president? No, I voted. No, what'd they say?
You switched your support.
I switched, yeah.
What do you make of all the fake news that it affects
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it. Sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
Wow. Denzel Washington. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. The other clip I was going to find from Denzel Washington was him saying, don't get it twisted. We're just acting. You could apply that to the football players. Don't get it twisted, folks. It's just a game. But what he said at the end of that was very profound. What you practice, you'll get good at. I wonder if these people who've been practicing covering the lies of the left, covering the Hollywood story, I wonder if you think they're any good at it. Just think about that for just a second. I think they're pretty good. I think they've actually done a very good job of convincing themselves that they're right when in fact they're very wrong. You know the thing about us, that you can love us, hate us, whatever you, and when I say us conservatives, what you get is consistency. We're not, there's no moral, rift, if you will, when somebody says, oh, how do you feel about theft? It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong even under the worst circumstances. It's still wrong. You can rationalize it a bit, but you at least have to know it's wrong. You can be hungry and go, I'm going to go steal myself something to eat. I'm starving. And somebody will go, well, geez, he was starving, Kev. The dude didn't have anything to eat. That's why he stole that biscuit. That's why he stole that muffin. Yeah, but somebody made that muffin and wanted to sell it, wanted to make money from it in order to pay his or her bills. And what about just asking for it? You see what I'm saying? See, to me, the theft is wrong, even under the circumstances. I was stealing it from my kids. My kids were hungry. I understand. Been there. Understand it well. Understand that there are kids in the world who aren't eating, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Can you ask? Was that the only thing you could do? Of course not. But what the left has practiced is they've practiced the art of rationalization, moral relativity, and you're watching it on full display. There was a rift between Ben Affleck and the actress that I only have her last name, McGowan. Forget her. I think it's Rose McGowan. She was in Charmed or some movie. And Ben Affleck wrote this. He says, I'm saddened and angry that a man who I worked with used his position of power to intimidate, sexually harass, and manipulate many women over decades. The additional allegations of assault that I read this morning made me sick. This is completely unacceptable, and I find myself asking what I can do to make sure it doesn't happen to others. And he's talking about the New Yorker article. He got up and read that, and he was like, well, so he tweets this out, makes an announcement. And McGowan, one of the actresses, it's mentioned in the New York Times report, which she first publicly addressed the decades of harassment by Weinstein. She shot back to Ben Affleck and said, I don't know what she said. They just said it was an expletive. She addressed the tweet. They said, recalling an alleged conversation between the two stars, which suggests Affleck knew about Weinstein's actions. The two worked together in 1998 on Phantoms, but haven't collaborated since. And here's what she said. Expletive, that he said. Expletive. I told him to stop doing that. She says, you said to my face. The press conference I made was to go after assault. To go after assault. You lie. So she's telling Ben Affleck, what he said to her, which is, I told him to stop doing that. So she's saying, you knew he did it. And she says, I was going to do a press conference and go after him on assault. And she says, you lie. And this goes back to Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Russell Crowe, and others who effectively covered for him. Donna Karen is covering for him. The dressmaker. What does she know? Let me ask you this, folks. Do you think for 1 second that this guy hasn't done almost all the things he's accused of? They got 8 women he settled with, many of them coming out of the closet. Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow, all these lunatics. Have you heard these people talk? They've built around them exactly what Denzel Washington said. They have so practiced the lie that they're good at it. They don't care who gets caught up. They don't care that it's hurt other women. Since when? How long have they gone before anybody said a word, folks? We're talking decades. I'm thinking back on the time when these girls were, I saw this girl McGowan, this lady McGowan, and they showed her picture from when she was apparently, sexually molested or assaulted by Weinstein. I barely knew her today. This has been so long. She's a matronly, middle-aged woman now, and finally coming out. How many of those? And I want you to think about it this way. Think about how powerful some of these women are. They are at the top of their craft. Angelina Jolie can write her own ticket. Ashley Judd, many of them, they can write their own tickets, and they're just coming out. Mira Sorvino, just coming out. Think about the ones who didn't get to that level. Think about where they are. They probably still don't have the guts to come out. And then you get Ben Affleck, who pretends that he's outraged. He knew about it, and she said it. She followed it up with, you want to play? Let's play. On Wednesday afternoon, he issued a tweet, get this, folks, apologizing to former MTV host Hillary Burton after she accused him of groping her during a 2003 appearance on Total Request Live, writing, Ben Affleck this is, I acted inappropriately toward Ms. Burton, and I sincerely apologize. Now, Ben Affleck, who's finally admitting that he groped this girl, is now appalled and outraged at Harvey Weinstein. This is a dude, I think it was messing with his maid. They're saying Ben Affleck was screwing around so much on what's her face? What's his wife's name? Jennifer Garner or something like that. He's as bad as Weinstein. And groping women. And then we'll have the nerve to not like Donald Trump. Why? Oh, look at how he treats women. No, Donald Trump only said what women will let you do. I can tell. Look, I've made this comment before. I was at a place with a very famous athlete, a football player, Hall of Famer. And this guy was groping women in ways. We were at it was a gentleman's club. When I was younger, I was like probably, I may have been 30. Hanging out with this Hall of Famer. He's a friend of mine. I was trying to help him do some business. And we go to this gentleman's club. At his suggestion, he says the food's great. And by the way, it was spectacular. These girls would come sit in his lap, and he's groping these girls where I guarantee you, ordinary mortals, we get kicked out. We get kicked out. Girls said nothing. And bouncers, because we were in the VIP area, bouncers are right there. They don't even look in our direction. That's how it was. And I know that for a fact because I sat there and saw it with my own eyes. So Ben Affleck and these guys, they're disingenuous liars, and she's calling them out for it. She tweeted, this McGowan girl, she tweeted about Weinstein's scandal and chastised her fellow actresses in a post on Saturday for failing to stand up. Ladies of Hollywood, your silence is deafening, she wrote. This is a girl that's pulling no punches now. She's saying, you know what? Enough is enough. And it's been long enough. And that's what makes all of this so interesting to me. This is far gone beyond. This is decades, folks. We're not talking about something fresh and new. This is decades of leftism on display, and they hate it.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to get a hold of us by phone. Hope you do. On demand 24/7, anytime you want to listen to the program. We cut 12 separate segments plus the entire show, so you can do it by the drink. It doesn't matter. We love it. Pass it along. Anyway, I want to cover the NFL a bit because we're winning. And you've probably heard, I don't know if you've heard, but it looks like the NFL is going to finally work on something that says these people have to stand for the anthem. These thuglites, I call them. They may be getting the message finally, the NFL. So remember, this began with one guy. Obviously, the name Colin Kaepernick is emblazoned in our memories. And he's now sitting on the bench watching football, or sitting at home on his sofa watching football from the comfort of his home, which I don't believe he'll get to keep very long at the rate that he's losing money. So there's Kaepernick sitting at home, one guy who took a stand. Then it got up as high as 9 guys. That's how high it got. Then Donald Trump jumped in. The president protested what he saw as an affront to America, etc. And you know what went on. And it grew to 200 people. And everybody was hoping, finally, we're going to get some numbers on this thing. Kaepernick still looking from his sofa. Other, people are trying to now chime in. Now we've got sports talk show people like Jamel Hill. We've got them. They're throwing Kaepernick fundraisers and parties in New York City, trying to find him a job. Anybody. and what the NFL owners have done. And I'm telling you, there are people that probably would want to give Kaepernick a try. And you know what the owners have said? You do it, and you will find yourself penalized big time. Because everybody's asking, hey, do you think Jerry Jones is serious? Will he make those players sit out? If they sit, it's not playing the game. If they didn't do this and they listed a couple of big players that they have, I don't know if those guys are any good. I presume they are. And I said, I think Jerry Jones will sit down his entire team if he needs to. I think he understands this isn't going to go away unless the owners make it go away. So there we have it. So we had 200 of 1,700 football players, mostly black, which puts the number around 950 in the league, but only 200 of them kneeled. So you're talking about 750 black dudes who said, I want no part of that. That's more than a quarter of the blacks that said no. That's more than 3/4 of the blacks that said no. I'm not interested. Much more. So the fans revolted. It showed in the ratings. It showed in attendance. It's beginning to show in revenue. And even though the owners don't feel it right now, they feel it. They see it coming in the long run. And more importantly, let me tell you, this is a fact. The owners care a lot less about the money than they do about the prestige. See, now these guys are jacking with the prestige. To be able to say, I own a football team is a big deal, but not if it's not popular. So the number of kneelers dropped down this last week to roughly 20. But the protesters added their raised fist this time. We won't kneel, but we'll raise our fist. Now, I lauded the president for finally addressing a couple of issues. First, the lie of the kneelers. There's no reason for black players to kneel in protest of dead dope dealers and thugs who got themselves killed. That just makes no sense. It actually sends out the wrong message to kids. Second, America is way past time to address the political correctness running rampant through corporate America. And does President Trump know how and when to pick a fight? This guy's timing is uncanny. He replaced the Dallas Cowboys as America's team. He stood for the anthem, the flag, the veterans, and all of us hardworking Americans who fund the indulgence of these thuglies. That's why I stopped. They're not getting any more of my money. So now we find ourselves where I have predicted we would be for quite some time. So here's an article from The Hill. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said Tuesday that he believes everyone should stand for the national anthem. Goodell said the controversy over NFL players kneeling in protest during the anthem, quote, is threatening to erode the unifying power of the game. We want to honor our flag, our country, and our fans expect that of us, Goodell added in a statement. We also care deeply about our players and respect their opinions and concerns and critical social issues. The controversy over the anthem is a barrier to having honest conversations and making real progress on the underlying issues. We need to move past this controversy. We want to do that together with our players. Now, see, that's a statement of a guy that wants to have his cake and eat it too. He could have stopped in paragraph 1. But he talked about, it's controversy and stuff to the players. He's honoring the players with this. Let's take a look at what they have to say. Let's look at how we can make progress. Whenever they use the word progress, I'm like, you're not sneaking that in on me. Goodell's statement, folks, is not definitive. It's got a lot of things that they may want to do, considering doing. We might, because he's a metrosexual wussy. He can't come out with an NFL policy that just is very clear. Like he could have said this. Somebody wrote and said this to me, and I'm paraphrasing it, but it was essentially, if you don't honor the nation by standing at attention for the anthem, you're going to get an 8-game suspension without pay. So you'll miss half the season. A second violation gets you kicked out of the league for good. Am I making it clear enough? And I guarantee you, you won't see raised fist. You won't see people taking a knee. You'll see black dudes doing what they're supposed to do, standing there and just, look, I mean, I don't care if you put your hand over your heart, but you need to just stand there solemnly as everybody else respects this nation. But he didn't do that. Had he done that, there'd be no controversy. But he even left more wiggle room. The commissioner said the NFL has, quote, worked to develop a plan that we will review with you at next week's league meeting. Now, I don't know what he's going to do. I'm curious. He said it will include items like a platform to promote the work of players on these core issues, and said the league will, quote, continue unprecedented dialogue with our players. See, I'm telling you this. If I pay you millions of dollars to do something, I don't even want you to open your mouth. Serious. Just come out here and do your job. Does it take millions? What can you do? I've asked this question many times. What could you do at a job to disrupt the flow of their cash or their money? What could you do and get away with that you would not be fired? I don't know of a regular job that you could say, we're going to boycott our sponsors. We're going to disrupt things so much. I mean, I get it, like a union, wanting to strike. Fine, strike. Because I guarantee you, there are going to be players out there ready to play, and I'll watch scab football. I will start watching football if they hire scabs. Anyway, Goodell said the NFL owners, they say, are considering a rule requiring players to stand during the national anthem when they meet next week. Everyone involved in the game needs to come together on a path forward to continue to be a force for good within our communities, protect the game, preserve our relationship with fans throughout the country. See, when I start hearing that, now I get it. I know exactly where he's coming from. He's going, you know what? We got to do something different here. And I love how they think we're stupid. We're not going to notice that they're like really going after us. I mean, because they're saying, please come back, please. Same thing Starbucks said. They said the NFL is best when we ourselves are unified. In that spirit, let's resolve that next week. We will meet this challenge in a unified and positive way. I hate that kind of conversation. It just drives me crazy. We will be unified. We will be I would say I don't give a crap what y'all think. I promise you I don't. You're going to do this or you can leave, period. If you got a better gig, go take it. I'm sure somebody in overseas will love to have you play for them because the numbers are there. 200 people, now it's down to 20. There are wives going, you know what, baby? You better just mind your business. That's Kaepernick's fight. That ain't our fight. We're not getting harassed by police. We live in a nice neighborhood around a lot of white people. And they ain't bothering us and we ain't bothering them. I can tell you what's happening in their homes. Now, there's some of these girls that are, yeah, you stand on it. But let me tell you something. The minute that check stops, she's gone. So don't believe that nonsense. We are winning. This is huge news for us. And when the news breaks, I want to be the first person to tell you, I told you. I knew they were going to do this. So we'll see what happens. Keep it here, folks. Kevin Jackson will be back in a minute.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Two big things going on that I will continue to pound. One of them is beginning to resolve itself, certainly in our favor. Actually, both of them are, to be honest with you. The NFL has decided that they're going to stand for the anthem, as we talked about. And, of course, Harvey Weinstein's in big trouble. I saw an article that said something along the lines of, will Harvey Weinstein be jailed? And I'm thinking, he ought to be. But it's funny, when it comes to leftists, we got to ask, are they going to put him in jail? I don't know. He's very powerful. He's got powerful friends. His powerful friends are abandoning him. But who knows? The NFL situation is sort of taking care of itself. Kaepernick has been sacked for his lack of performance. His juvenile antics haven't helped at all. He did all that so what we could circle back and do what? Do exactly what we used to do without anybody making any big fuss about it. Kind of reminds me of transgender bathrooms. All the jumping through hoops, and I ask a very simple question. Where did transsexuals go to the bathroom before all this? Well, I don't know, Kevin. Yeah, leftists. They went to whatever bathroom they chose, and none of us ever said anything. You made it an issue. You know, look. Colonel Nathan Jessup, played by Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men, had the answer to a lot of the things that we're talking about when we pit the lunacy of leftism against conservatism. And he says, all you did was weaken a country today, Kathy. That's all you did. Sweet dreams, son. Now, in his case, Nathan Jessup was a bit of a pain in the butt. He guarded the line. He issued the code red. A kid got killed. Shouldn't have happened. But you take that out and you want those guys guarding the line. All that Kaepernick did was weaken a country. All that Harvey Weinstein and the cover-up of the left have done is weaken a country. That's what they do. This guy writes, what is metaphorical defecation on the American flag? Why is metaphorical defecation on the American flag the newest sport of multimillionaire football players in the NFL? From grade school, all children are taught to stand, place their hand over their heart, salute the flag. That's the purpose of the Pledge of Allegiance, a unifying promise to the country, one nation under God. Simply put, it's the basis of civic responsibility and patriotism. But taking the knee rather than standing, how is that not an act of blatant disrespect? Not to their fellow citizens per se, but to generations of buried soldiers who sacrifice everything to guarantee American liberty. A case in point is President Trump's September 24th tweet. Courageous patriots have fought and died for our great American flag. We must honor and respect it. Make America great again. And so what does Kaepernick do? What do the rest of these thug elites do? Oh, we're going to sit on a knee. We're going to protest America. And what do these leftists do in Hollywood? While they're denigrating us, who would dare stand for something like that? Oh, you stand for the oppression of black people. Hey, leftists, you stand for the oppression of women. You stand for the oppression of blacks. You stand for the oppression of this country. They are nothing but oppression. They stand for all of that. And Harvey Weinstein, he points it all out. It is so glaring, it scares the crap out of him. It's been my focus of the discussion today, whether you like that or not. I hope you like it. If you do, chart this show, kjradio.com. This show is a show, I promise you, you can listen to 20 years from now, and unless things change with the left, I'll be saying the same thing. Just rinse and repeat. Take Harvey Weinstein out. In fact, you could take Harvey Weinstein out right now. There is somebody with the name Berg or Steen in Hollywood that is ready to take his place right now. Trust me on it. Running scared to death. They don't know when the shoe's going to fall. Who's going to start talking about me? And here's what will happen. It'll correct for a minute. Everybody will stand down, see where things go. And then they'll forget, because liberals have the attention span of a mosquito, and they'll forget and they'll start doing it again. And hopefully somebody there will not take the Faustian challenge of morality versus money and fall for money. Somebody there will stand up and say, I'm not taking this. I've got a precedent. Harvey Weinstein. And you're doing the same thing. And you're either going to evaluate me on my talent or you're going to be gone. Or maybe they'll start doing undercover exposés. Maybe we'll get O'Keefe's people in there. See what they can do. Project Veritas. He's uncovering all kinds of stuff. New York Times editor. Member of an Antifa. proud member. And he goes and tries to be objective at the New York Times. Let's hope they have the guts to fire him. Donna Karen writes a letter to the board of writes a note or something, asking the board of Harvey Weinstein's company to be fired for letting him go. A sexual predator. I mean, it is boundless. The hypocrisy of the left is boundless, folks. These are people that hold $35,000, $50,000 a plate dinners in honor of people like Weinstein. They want to be around him so they can come give money to frauds like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and a host of other crooked politicians because they want a seat at the table. They want to be seen with Harvey Weinstein, not to be seen with him, but because they get to be seen with that beautiful actress or that handsome leading man or whatever, and say, look at who I hobnob with. And they get their photo ops and they pretend that, woohoo, look at me, I'm hot stuff. This is why you want to vote for me. I'm in with the in crowd. So they look the other way. Harvey can do what he wants. Ben Affleck can do what he wants. All these people can do what he wants. But boy, let old, what's his face? Mel Gibson, who makes a Christ film, they ostracize him. We looked at the number of Hollywood weirdos that are out there that have done stuff like this. Just go back to the blog site and see, to go to our website and see where we explain who these people really are.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. Eminem is in the news, the white rapper. They say this guy's worth $190 million. Probably true. I was looking to see if he's fallen on hard times. Because a lot of times when these guys fall on hard times, they use Donald Trump to prop him up. Eminem. Real name is something Mathers, isn't it? Like Martin, not Martin, but it may be Martin Mathers. Yeah, it is. Martin Mathers, Eminem. That's why it's the two M's. Yeah. Did you guys know that? You knew that, right? Yeah, Martin Mathers, Eminem. And he became popular with this song Slim Shady. And I think he's got his record label is like Shady Productions or something like that. How do you get people to do work with you when you name your record label Shady Productions? Anyway, he's become very popular. And I will admit, there are a couple things that this guy has done. Back that, I'll say it this way, back that booty up. I love that. The beat to that song it's just so intoxicating. I mean, just, and you just find yourself moving. Shake that, dun, 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 shake that, dun, dun. It's almost, it's got like a jungle feel. And I know that sounds weird, black guy talking about jungle, but it does, as this sort of, you just feel like moving. You almost cannot move with that song playing. If I played that song for your 85-year-old grandmother, she would get out of her rocker or pull her rocker up and start dancing. That's how much that song makes you want to move. And there's a couple of other things I've heard by him, and I'm like, that's innovative. It really is. And I will tell you, the thing I've seen about the guy, taking copious notes and writing down stuff. I read this is early on. This is probably 12 years ago I read something about him. And I thought to myself, this guy takes his craft seriously. I don't know. I couldn't name you 5 Eminem songs. But I tell you, the couple I've heard, they're really good. And his very first one, I remember people saying, Kevin, it's just like he's got so much anger and passion and rawness in there. And I remember listening to it and I went, I can hear that. I can hear why you would like that. I don't like the style of music, but I get it. You know what I mean? I get the talent. Same thing I've said about Kanye West. I get the talent. I can sense something about him that makes people go, wow, So this guy, he writes this. Though Eminem became my favorite artist, I had vowed I would never write about him. There was something about his angst and audacity that appealed to the straight-laced me, who couldn't dream of saying or even thinking of the things he did. I didn't want to criticize him, become one of those people he'd call out and sing for the moment. Now these critics crucify you, journalists try to burn you, fans turn on you. Yet with the release of Eminem's latest offering, Shady 15, also marking 15 years of his recording company, Shady Records, it's become clear that while the rapper's lyrical abilities and technical prowess have only grown stronger, he's become a worse artist, one worthy of criticism. Now, I don't know whether this guy nailed it, whether he missed the mark a little or a lot. I just found this article in The Atlantic. Seems like the guy pretty well knew what he was talking about, and it was a feeling that I got. I have a feeling that Eminem is not getting out of music what he wants anymore. The message isn't resonating as much. And let me tell you why I think that is. Eminem's found success. Eminem, it's tough to feel that angst. It's tough to say, this is all the stuff that's going on back in the day when I was like a poor dude, white boy trying to make it on the street, people beating me up and all of and then going, you know what? I can do what I want. I can say what I want. I got money to burn. I got adoring fans. I don't know if he's married, got kids, whatever. He's got a whole new set of issues. And none of them relate to anything from his past. So he's having trouble finding that. And that's what defined him. The guy talked about his angst and his audacity. How do you talk about angst and audacity when you got it all? When you're worth $190 million. Your problems differ quite a bit. When you're talking about, got no food to eat, got to hit those streets. I don't know any of his rap music, but I'm telling you what I would be talking about if I'd grown up in a particular way that I could have grown up. I'd be looking, who's my next mark? How am I going to do this crime without getting caught? Who should I enlist my boys? Because the only way to not get caught in something is to just involve yourself, blah, blah, blah. I would be rapping about that. When you got $190 million sitting in the bank and your prospects are pretty good and you're working on the next tour and things like that, it's kind of tough to keep that edge. See, that's a problem. You get there, you get to the mountaintop and things change. You know what their biggest warning to me all the time? Kevin, look, you're on the precipice, man. You could go big, bro. But look, don't ever change, man. Try not to change. And I go, don't worry about it. I'm too old to change. Don't misunderstand me. You get $50 million, $100 million in the bank, and your problems differ. But as far as my core, I'm the same person. I don't believe Martin Mathers is the same person. I don't believe Johnny Depp is the same person. I don't believe Ben Affleck is the same person. I don't believe Matt Damon's the same person. I don't believe George Clooney's the same person as when he was whatever he was. These guys go there and they get distorted. See, I'm not going anywhere. If I put $100 million in the bank, I might have a vacation spot, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to Hollywood and suddenly things become very different. You know, the lifestyle's different. You know, you might change a zip code in the town you live, but in Hollywood, that doesn't matter. Wherever you live, that's where you live. That's how you are. Eminem has to surround himself with people who have angst. He can now only live vicariously through that angst. So now he goes after Donald Trump. In 2004, he invited Donald Trump to the convention of Shady. And Donald Trump went and introduced Slim Shady as a presidential candidate, and Eminem came out, and it was a big deal. He liked Donald Trump. Nothing has changed between Eminem, Martin Mathers, and Donald Trump in that period of time. Not a thing. But now he gave a searing critique of President Trump, using his rapping skills to lambaste the president and his policies during a BET Hip Hop Awards. Do you think he was playing to an audience? Let me tell you something, Eminem, and people that like him. A lot of people appreciate Donald Trump, and their faces look like mine. They're black. But he comes on, he goes to say this: any fan of mine that's a supporter of his, I'm drawing the line in the sand. You either for or against. And if you can't decide who you like more and you split on who you should stand beside, I'll do it for you with this. He finishes, his hand blurred as he presumably flips the finger, saying, screw you. You know what? He's not saying screw you to that many of his fans. And that's a safe move for Martin Mathers, who hasn't grown up. Sadly, hasn't grown up. Got the money, but hasn't grown up because he's still a sellout like all those leftists.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Holy mother of Liberace, this announcement I have might rock the LGBT world and the rock and roll world simultaneously. But a rock and roll legend, folks, denounced his former LGBTQ lifestyle. Welcome back. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com, the show where we break it down for you. Get down, we gonna break it down. Why did I decide to sing that? I don't know. There's Eddie, as they said in Trading Places, black people are very musical people. We are. Welcome to the Kevin Jackson Show. If you want to contact us, KJ Radio, you can reach us at 844-551-8255. We're having fun, aren't we? You know, the fun part is destroying liberal narratives and not doing it maliciously. See, I have nothing against liberals. They have stuff against me. They want to kill me. They threaten me all the time, whatever. But I have nothing against them. I mean, other than the fact that they want to kill. If they left me alone and just said, he's crazy, man, or whatever, I'd be cool. I have zero against them. I don't care. So what? You're an idiot. I know lots of idiots. It's no big deal. I've grown up with it. Here's a dirty little secret, conservatives. Shh, don't tell anybody. The majority of people you know are idiots. I mean, it's true. And here's the thing. You have to be taught. Now, my son, my youngest son, I love this kid. Right now, he's an idiot. Now, he's coming out of it. There are many things that I'm proud of him for. He's very smart in some ways, but he's an idiot. You have to train idiot out of people. Here's a little dirty secret. Don't tell anybody. We all were idiots at some point. Somebody got to us and said, stop being an idiot, as my grandmother would say. Don't be stupid your whole life. That's what she would tell me. Don't be stupid your whole life. I would be like, And, it would upset me, but guess what? I had done something. Here it comes. Stupid. I know I gave you some earlier clues. I figured you were already there with me. Anyway, this one here, this announcement is unbelievable. Yeah. Who says God doesn't change lives? The LGBT. That's who you tutti fruities. They say, you can't change this out of me. Look, I do not try to change people from who they are, what they think they are. Be who you want to be. Just don't try to force me to enjoy it or whatever. I don't care what your issue is. If it's not hurting anybody, I don't care. I really don't. If it hurts somebody, then I care. Then I get ugly. As my grandma say, God don't like ugly, but I'll get ugly. And then the lion comes out. But if you like the gay lifestyle or whatever, that's cool. Just don't be mad at me, because I don't like it. I like my lifestyle, the not gay lifestyle. Anyway, Little Richard says that you shouldn't be gay. He regrets being gay. Yeah. And what's sure to be perceived as an Uncle Tom move, and certainly against Obama's LGBTQ agenda, Little Richard denounces the homosexual lifestyle. And as a self-described gay and omnisexual, he says time and the Lord have changed his 84-year-old mind. Now, he came to this conclusion years ago. Little Richard dropped out of the scene. You know this, right? I don't know if you guys know. Well, you don't even. Do you know who Little Richard is, first of all? Y'all know him? You do know him? He's so iconic. I would even think guys y'all's age, these millennials, still know Little Richard. But Little Richard used to be, he was in the news all the time because he's such a fun character. The funny thing about Little Richard, besides the obvious, was that he just lit up the screen. Little Richard here, yeah. Oh, don't you go that way, boy. And he was so fun to watch. And and I'll tell you how naive I was. I didn't know Little Richard was gay. I just thought he was but I didn't know Liberace was gay. But see, that was in a time when people didn't just flamboyantly, they didn't overtly go, hey, he's gay. You knew it. I knew something was different. As my grandma would say, he's funny. And I knew it, but I didn't really know it. I guess that's how naive I was. Now, my son, he's 10 years old. If he saw Little Richard, back in the day, my son would go, yeah, Dad, it's obvious he's gay. He would say it just like that. Anyway, Little Richard described himself years later, but well beyond when I was growing up watching him, as gay and omnisexual. Here's what Ebony said when Little Richard was doing a sit-down with a TV show. They say the icon shared his current views on sexuality, including dedicating his final years to living like Jesus, while insisting men should live as men and women as women. Anybody come in show business, they're going to say you're gay. Are you straight? Are you a homosexual or something? They're going to say it. But God, Jesus, he made men, he made women, and you know, and you got to live the way God wants you to live. Now, that's as best I can do of Little Richard. But that's not too bad. That was pretty good. You don't know Little Richard. I know you say you know Little Richard, but I don't know if you know Little Richard, man. Tutti Frutti. Oh, Ludy. Tutti Frutti. I don't even know the words to his songs except Tutti Frutti. Is he saying Tutti Frutti? Oh, Ludy. What's he say? Tutti Frutti, yo booty. I think the song was supposed to be Tutti Frutti, yo booty. And they changed it. I'm almost sure that's correct. If it isn't, well, whatever. The Tutti Frutti singer, who no longer wears makeup or wigs, also spoke out against, quote, unnatural affections. You know, all these things, so much unnatural affection, so much of people just doing everything and don't think about God, don't want no parts of him. Now that's some good Little Richard right there, baby. I'm a strong J myself. Way to go, K. That was good. He says, while the pianist was ordained as a minister in 1970, many of his fans have wondered for years how the star reconciled his faith with his own journey to self-discovery. For decades, Richard, whose real name is Richard Wayne Penniman, was the icon of the LGBT movement. I don't know if you guys know. This dude, like I said, once I knew he was gay, the gay people, they love Little Richard. They loved him. An avowed homosexual, in 2012, in a GQ interview, he said, "We are all both male and female. Sex to me is like a smorgasbord. Whatever I feel like, I go for. What kind of sexual am I? I am omnisexual." Now, this was in 2012. He became an ordained minister in 1970. Just think about that. 42 years later, he still described himself as an omnisexual. That's a lot of sexual. You know, omni meaning all, right? He's all sexual. And if Richard hadn't made his lifestyle clear enough, in a 1995 interview with Penthouse, he proclaimed, "I've been gay all my life, and I know God is a God of love and not hate." So, 1970, he became an ordained minister. 1995, he says, "I've been gay all my life, not a God of hate." Then, in 2012, he says, "I'm an omnisexual." And somewhere between 2012 and now, he figured it out. Now look, I don't care. A person's walk with God is their own personal journey. And I remember my uncle once telling my grandmother, "Kev, he don't seem like he's with God and all." I was like, how does he know? He hadn't talked to this Negro in 10 years. How does he know what my walk with God is? By the way, my uncle was a scoundrel. And when he converted, he thought everybody was a scoundrel. I'm like, dude, we knew you before you became this you, okay? So don't be trying to come around here legislating it. Yeah. Anyway, he goes on to say this: "Regardless of whatever you are, he loves you," meaning God. "I don't care what you are. He loves you and he can save you. All you've got to say is, 'Lord, take me as I am. I'm a sinner.'" And he went on. But it was an amazing thing for Little Richard to admit this. And you can bet, though, that despite being in the waning years of his life, the LGBT and other leftists will show him no quarter. Just look at what they did to Cosby. Because I don't know why. I mean, there's speculation as to why they picked on Cosby, but because, Bill Clinton's done far worse. Many people. Harvey Weinstein. Now, nobody's saying a word about Harvey Weinstein right now. It's crazy. As you all know, I too have felt the swordsman's thrust of the LGBT. Yeah, I have. When I came out as a double transsexual, yeah, I told it was the rat. It's hard to take. It's hard to bear. Yeah. Came out not gay, came out as a double transsexual, and people have the gay community won't let up. Yeah, I'm hard on. You know why I'm hard on the LGBT? Because they so want us to just. It's one thing to say, "I'm gay, man." Okay, fine. It's another. How many cases of things, how many examples do I have to show you guys where these guys have an agenda? And that agenda is, you're going to capitulate. It's not just you're going to like me. I'm going to make sure you use my pronouns. We're going to legislate HIV and a bunch of other stuff. And you're going, what? People are crazy. Congratulations, Little Richard, for getting out.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. There's been a backlash against ESPN for Jemele Hill's suspension, and I'm reading it says it began almost immediately among left-wing activists and celebrities, many of whom use the hashtag boycott ESPN on social media. Dear ESPN, suspending Jemele Hill doesn't make you seem biased, bigoted, or racist at all. Actor Greg Poops wrote, "Boo, not watching till she's back." And so let me just explain what's going on here, folks. This is the left trying to pretend that they matter. See, ESPN's already in the tank. I talked about this the other day. They put her and some other dude on a show to save it. At best, it's been flat, and one thing of it went up. They said it ticked up a point. For all intents and purposes, that's losing. She's been doing that show now for the better part of a year and can't raise anything on it. And now that she's created this controversy, she's in big trouble. So the numbers are going to go down. And people want ESPN to believe, the left want ESPN to believe that they're the reason. It's the same reason when the people were like, we're boycotting, the left was like, we're boycotting the NFL because they're not taking a stance against Donald Trump and all this. We're going to boycott them. We're not going to watch your shows. You watch your games. Guess what, guys? Too late. We'd already started not watching their games. So this is piggybacking. This is what the Democrats pushing off slavery onto the Republicans, except a little different. They're trying to piggyback onto the good things that's happening on our side by taking credit and saying, we're the reason you don't have any people watching your sports anymore. Yeah, good luck with that. I think this is hysterical. And again, I come back to, we're lucky this is happening now in the time of Trump. There's going to be a lot of things going on that you get to take credit for. So Al Sharpton is picketing ESPN. Believe it or not, he's got some thing that he's doing outside of ESPN, and he's going to get Jemele Hill. Let me put it to you this way. Jemele Hill is not coming back until her 2 weeks is up. The NFL is not going to allow thuglites to take a knee. End of story. And it doesn't matter what happens between now and then, Jemele Hill's not coming back, and the NFL athletes will obey whatever the league comes up with, and they'll obey it to the letter of the law, or they'll be gone. People have asked me, what do I think? I've been asked this multiple times on TV, different shows. What I think is exactly what I just said. They are going to give in. They have to. ESPN is sick of this. And guess what? ESPN will soon, I'll make another prediction. They will put out a memo that says, we will talk sports. We will not talk about issues surrounding political things. If we do, we're going to take a neutral stance. We're going to just report it as news happening in the NFL. We're not going to be biased one way or the other. That's what they're supposed to do. If you want to talk about concussions, for example, I love talking about it. I understand both sides of the issue. You got guys running into each other at 20 miles an hour, the net being a 40-mile-an-hour hit to both people. And as much as they have the protection and all that, you hit at the right angle, man, concussion. You hit at the wrong angle, a little slightly off from the right angle, and you've got broken neck, broken back, paralysis, whatever. Lifelong injuries. The average football player lives I forget what the number is, but it's like in the mid-50s. So you're not talking about, these are guys that go, my life expectancy is going to go way down. They seem to be okay with it. Most of them probably don't even believe it to be true. I don't know. I haven't run the studies, but I know this. You give a lot of people the choice to play that sport. You tell them, look, you might not reach 60, but you'll be playing a sport you love, blah, blah, blah. There'll be people lined up, man, all day long and twice on Sunday. They will line up to play this game. I wouldn't. I think too much of my life. But there you go. But I was a fighter. So there are people that would go, Kevin, I would never get in the ring and let people throw hands and feet at me. Elbows and knees. Are you crazy? It didn't seem crazy to me. It seemed like shoot, that's the way you test yourself. So you're training, you're going to the gym, you're going to your workouts, doing your dojo, you're sparring in little, pity pat tournaments, you're, working out with people, doing forms, self-defense, 1-steps, you name it. And then suddenly you get the chance to put it into some sort of use without hurting people, and people want to write you a check for it. Sign me up. If you said do it today, no interest. But I get it. So I understand both sides of the issue. Somebody going, Kevin, shoot, man, you get concussions, man, you're foggy in your mind and yada yada. I'd go, yeah, I get it, man. So why'd you play? You had to know there were risks. I did. Practically every one of my NFL friends, I knew the risk. Okay. Would you do it again? Almost every one of them. Yes. I was talking to Craig James, been about a year ago. Part of the Pony Express, played for the New England Patriots, went to the Super Bowl. I asked Craig, I said, man, what's all this concussion stuff? And we were talking about Jay Novacek. And because Jay's wife is big into the concussion thing and all that. And they were telling me, Kevin, have you seen Will Smith's new movie? I said, guys, I don't watch Will Smith movies. But anyway, long story short, they were talking about it. They are very, I don't know how many concussions Jay had. I know Troy Aikman had a few, but Jay's like, yeah, man, dangerous sport. Would you do it again? And I think Jay told me, yeah. I go, okay, man, that's all I'm asking. So both sides of the issue. And I'm not trying to go back to the throwback stuff, but there were times when, man, the helmets didn't have a face mask. They were made of leather. And people weren't as fast. Maybe they weren't as big, but they didn't have face masks. They had a leather helmet on. They were running into each other. Maybe 4 or 5 miles per hour slower than today, but still like rams, man. What do people say? Guys taking steroids. They're doing everything to prolong careers. They know. Do you think the people taking steroids, man, let me tell you, the jury's still out here. You could lose 10 years on your life. Shoot it, doc. I don't know what the elixir is. I think I do. But, I didn't fall for it. Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you would. But there's at least 2 sides to be argued on it, but not with the left. For them, Jemele Hill's suspension, after the company told her, don't tweet on these issues, she did it. And she did it to the detriment of the company. You think they care? No, she's black and she got laid off. That's all they need to know. She got suspended, rather, for 2 weeks. But she's black. I remember a lady on the Golf Channel, forget her name, she made a reference that wasn't even that big of a deal, but it was racially sort of insensitive. It's 2 week suspension. Nobody cared. It was like, whatever. NAACP is attacking Jerry Jones. Yeah. We've reached a point in America where an ethnocentric black racist organization attacks a rich white business owner who hires blacks and makes them into multimillionaires. Household words. Household names, I meant to say. The NAACP showcases that group's lunacy on the regular. Renders itself irrelevant on the regular. Protest a business owner setting rules for their employees, the same thing that Sharpton's doing. You want to know why these 2 groups are doing it? My book, Race Pimping, will tell you. RacePimping.com. Is it because they're right? No. Are they factually, are they right on principle? No. They don't have to be. You got a white guy who's rich. You got somebody black who's been theoretically oppressed. I don't know what Jamel Green earns for a living, but it's probably fairly substantial. But she's oppressed. They set rules and guidelines at the company. Do you think that Sharpton's company has rules and guidelines? The Jesse Jackson Rainbow Push, these rules and guidelines? Do you think any company owned by blacks has rules and guidelines? Yeah, but is it okay to violate them? No, because those companies are owned by black people. You can't violate their rules. This is how crazy we are, folks. Sportcaster said Jerry Brown is a slave owner. I'm just going to touch on it because I'd like to touch on this a little bit more. A slave owner. A dude who overwhelmingly hires black people, forces them, not indentured servants, not slaves, hires them for a really amazing amount of money. I'll tell you this, I'd work for the average salary of the blacks in the NFL divided by 10. That's what I'd go do the NFL for. What would you take? That's going to do it for me today, folks. We'll talk to you again next time.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.